What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Near and Far podcast. Boys, we're so back. We're so back. We are recording this the day it's been officially announced that Rich Rodriguez will be returning as the head coach of the football team.
I think Pac-Man technically broke the
He
story.
did. That was 2 days ago.
So high as hell.
The rumor I heard on that is that he got deep faked. That somebody sent him a deep fake video of Ren like announcing it or something. But maybe they were just covering for their boy Pac-Man.
They probably were. He's going to give $200,000 to every DB that gets 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
I like how he's like, I don't got Pat money. He pays me.
But I got a little money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. All the old boys are coming out of the woodwork, and it's been really something. So I personally, today's been one of like the best days I've had in a very long time. Like I'm not gonna lie, the amount of nostalgia, the amount of like prime Rich Rob videos that I've watched today that have like given me cold chills is unbelievable. Just the nostalgia, and side note here, I feel bad for Rich because like every picture that you see of him, you just saw a picture of him when he was 20 years younger. so it's like, God damn, he looks old. But like you just saw him 20 years ago in the video you watched before you saw that video. So it's been, but I don't know. What are you guys thinking? What's the feels right now?
A lot of good buzz. I think it's good buzz. You got a lot of big name people in good spots that are they're really going to take notice.
I think it's illuminated how fractured the booster, right, or donors or money or fan, to some degree, fan base, but probably more the big money donors and supporters must have been, even with Neil, because just especially players, like, I don't know, it's odd. I get it why if you played for him you'd be jacked, but there's a lot of people that have been like totally MIA right over the past, all of Neil's tenure, maybe even before that. Like Bruce Irvin, I saw, right, like commenting, talking about coming back and this or that, and it's like, it's just odd to me, right? Like, why? What was the deal with them not already being involved? To some degree, like those are your guys, regardless. Like,
well, I think that just goes to show that he wasn't our guy.
Something.
I don't think he ever was going to be our guy. If you can't rally the troops, then at West Virginia, you got, I think there's bigger issues there than just not winning football games.
According to the official Facebook feel, so I've looked at every post, and it's like some form of liking, right? Like heart, thumbs up, whatever. And then the other one's usually just angry face. It's about 50-50. It's maybe 60-40 in favor. But then again, those people are fucking stupid. Right. Not all of them, I'll say that. But the ones that are like, he threw the Pitt game because he's going to Michigan, is the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my entire life. And I forgot that was something that people actually believe.
That does not help him in any way.
Right.
Either way.
Yeah.
He's not putting any leverage on either side of that, with West Virginia or Michigan by doing that. That's stupid.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that like I think it's safe to say we're all excited. But like if you listen to our, episodes from a long time ago, because we haven't done this in a while, but like we would joke about it. And I mean, I'll be honest with you. I watched them the first game of the season. They played Coastal Carolina, and they looked awful, like awful. I think I texted you guys, and I'm like, I'm so glad that he's not our coach because they looked awful.
Yeah, and I remember
that. And they really did. I mean, Coastal Carolina beat them like 40 something. It wasn't even close. And they actually started out 0-3. Now the second game was against Louisville, I forget who the third game was against, but the fact that they then won 8 straight is a testament to maybe his coaching to a certain degree. But like, should we should we go back? Like, you guys want to talk about the coaching search in general? Do we any final Neil Brown words? Let's
Good riddance.
okay.
I will say, I think the consensus, and I think we always said this, right? Like, is by all accounts, he's a good dude. Like,
Yep.
Right.
a much better dude probably than Rich Rodriguez is. Like,
Yes,
just
yes.
as far as a human being, like
Who
he's a
am I going to let
solid
watch
good.
my kids?
Oh
Neil
yeah,
Brown,
absolutely.
not Rich
Well, and
Rodriguez.
for better or worse, what a act to stick. Like, he ensured that we signed 21 dudes. Like, that's unheard
amazing.
of, right? That
Mm.
you fire a coach and your entire class signs days after your coach being fired. Like, that's just crazy.
Yeah.
So the fact that he stuck around and made that happen, and then
Didn't
I don't know if you
coach
guys
any
caught.
of it.
Yeah, did you guys catch his Hoppy, Kirchhoff
Yeah.
interview that Friday? But
He made some excuses, and let me throw this out there, because there is a cynical take on that, because you can maybe make the argument that what that says is that all those kids were coming here regardless of who the coach was. He had zero impact on that, and they just wanted to come to West Virginia. I'm sure that's not the case, but you could make that argument that the fact that they still come here means that he really wasn't influential in their decision. But in that Hoppy interview, he said you can't expect top 4 results with bottom 4 resources. And he's about to see Rich Rod come in here and just bring the swagger back and put us in the national discussion again. And that's going to just make him look awful. But
that's where I'm scratching my head though, right? Because I think his accounts are accurate, right? If you talk about, and he did, I mean, to his credit, he did say like Ren's working on that, and I have no doubt Ren's going to get it to be where it needs to be, but it's a process to try to get it there. But like, why were the money people not already part of the equation? Like, is it they just had lost, like, were they initially in his tenure and then just lost confidence and faith, and so they pulled back, or
we hadn't
did
been
they never
ranked in
come
6 years. We
Yeah.
have not been ranked in 6 years. Like, okay, so maybe Neil Brown's second year, I'm a multi-millionaire donor and I'm putting my normal amount in. At what point are you like, yeah, I'm not doing that anymore? I think that's the problem.
Yeah, McAfee, it's insane. It's super insane.
Yeah.
It's
I
got
love
all
that,
the
man.
feels.
Well,
I'm just like you guys said, it definitely feels like boom or bust though, right? Like, it's either going to be insanely magical and like the greatest redemption story arc in sports, like one of, or it's going to be awful.
Yeah.
And a miserable failure. Not really sure which one it's going to be at this point. Hoping for the better.
I mean, I feel like Pat did everything that he could to try to hype the fan base up with the show at the Penn State game.
Yep.
And
We don't deserve that.
no.
We did nothing to deserve that. And we've done nothing to deserve what he's doing tomorrow, which is putting on a show. I mean, our
second show in what, 6 months?
Yeah, our coach press conference is going to be the Pat McAfee show. Is that the way you understand it?
Yeah.
They're going to have the press conference separately, I believe.
Oh, okay.
I think.
All right.
And then but the press conference is in the Coliseum. So I think it's going to be
the show's going live from the Coliseum, right?
Yeah, the show
Yeah.
show is live from the Coliseum. 12.
I don't know any way. Like, I feel like the press conference is actually going to have to be part of the show, because I don't know any way they can't. Right? Like,
at least bring them on.
If it's
they're going to bring them on, but I think they're going to do the press conference like in a room where
gotcha
with the media in the Coliseum.
Question for y'all, because I assume this will happen, because I feel like it needs to happen for a large part of the fan base. But is there an apology component to his introduction, speech and presser?
I mean, I feel like he's going to say something along the lines like, "I'm back to, I want to make it right." But if true, like, people, true Mountaineer fans, people that really are invested into knowing the whole story, other than these people that just watched the Pitt game 17 years ago, and that's the image and how they perceive him, that don't really know any other facts other than that he left after that. there was he was on. He did an interview with Tony Greedy. Remember a few years back? That was like him.
Yeah, but
basically,
I guess that's
telling
what I'm
us
saying.
the story, telling
This
us
feels like
why he
the
did
first
it.
time where he doesn't have to explain, right? Like don't explain anything. Like it's
Yeah.
not
No, he
like
doesn't
whatever,
have
but
to
you can
anymore.
just kind of
He
like
did
you're the
that
coach,
already.
man. It's your job now. So if you come out and be like, "Hey, like I fucked up the way I left. Like it was wrong. It's haunted
Yeah,
me."
don't do that. You don't need to do that.
Well,
I feel like you need to do it to a faction.
I
It'd
don't-
go a long
I don't
way.
want him to.
I don't know. I mean,
I don't want him to cry. Like the short of tears, I don't want it to go that far. But I think that it would be nice if I don't know what the right wording would be, but something to the effect of, "I'm so glad to be back home. I wish I'd never left, and I'm ready to get to work."
Yeah, I mean,
I want to earn back your trust.
That's all the deeper he needs to go with. Because I feel like I said, if people that were really following it and really wanted to hear his side of the story, they would have they could have heard it a couple years ago when he did that interview with Greedy and told the story. They talked about it like there was no holding back, there was no dancing around anything. It was just like explain yourself, and he did. You know what I mean?
What do you think, Ryan? How do you want him to go?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. I'm obviously in the camp with you guys where it's like I think as educated as you could be about it. Like read 3 and Out, hear the story,
I read
relayed
that
by
book
multiple
too,
people. I think it would be great. Again, like it's water under the bridge. I think like you said, Chad, you don't want to spend too much time talking about or rehashing, just move forward. But it'd be great to frame it because I don't think people appreciate, not even him, but like that whole administration is fucking gone, right? Like long ago.
right.
Garrison was embroiled in fucking 2 scandals and he's out, right? Like he was a piece of shit by all accounts. Passed along, thankfully, is still probably hitting the bottle somewhere, but hung it up. Let's go. I mean, I got. What do you guys think about Ren though? Because I feel like I had full faith and confidence in Ren, and I still do. But man, what an unbelievably challenge for him! If everybody who's anybody in the Mountaineer sphere lined up and were like, "This is our dude," right? Like even if you didn't necessarily want to go that direction, like it'd be a ton of pressure. Like it's kind of loosely, right? Like because if you don't go his way and you go somewhere else and that fails, you're done because all the big people, right, wanted to go that way. If you do go this way and it fails, that sucks too. The only real win, right, is like he wins. It's great.
You have, you've got a fan base that's divided right now, obviously, on this hire, but you're also like trying not to make the same mistake that we did before with hiring some up and coming coach or a coordinator, or you want to bring some pop to this, right? So hiring an offensive coordinator from wherever or a defensive coordinator or whatever, whoever it could be, a head coach from Army, you're not bringing a lot of pop with that. People are not going. You're not going to get any buzz. You're not going to get any. Everybody's just going to be like, ho hum. But with this, I feel like it's good for the state. It's good for the fan base. It's good for the university, especially because, like you said, Ryan, it could go either way. But it could go either way. It could go either way with anybody. But
who
this
wins the
one's
news
just
cycle?
A little bit more.
UNC or West Virginia?
I mean,
what'd you say?
Who wins the news cycle in this one? UNC or West Virginia?
The Belichick hire is.
There's no way that doesn't end in a fucking flaming
terrible.
dumpster, right? Like,
yeah. That makes absolutely. Did they work that deal out where his son is like the head coach in waiting?
That's the rumor I heard too. That there was like a 400-page list of demands.
Yeah.
It's like
you won a ton of Super Bowls.
Yeah, you won like 6 Super Bowls, but
72-year-old to a 73-year-old.
That is kind of crazy.
I don't think that's a good hire.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Like I've been watching him on the Manning cast of the Monday Night Football, and he's entertaining. Like and he certainly
He's got a
knows.
personality you never
yeah.
knew existed in there. Yeah.
Yeah, there is, and I really, I mean, I'm right down the road from Chapel Hill, so I'm hoping they're good. That would be really fun if they were. If
I
they
just
were awesome.
cannot picture him coaching kids.
Well, that's just it. Is it? Are we closer? Is college football closer to the pros these days? You know, that's what he's like. Because aren't college programs hiring GMs now? Like, there's several college programs that have GMs.
That was Belichick's pitch.
Yeah.
He's like, I will develop you into an NFL player. This university will be a pipeline to the NFL, and it's like,
yeah,
it's hard to disagree with him because of what he's accomplished. But at the same time, it's like, dude, you're 73 years old, and you got a 22-year-old girlfriend. Like,
she's at
you're kind of
UNC.
creepy right now.
That's really what's going on. She's at UNC.
Yeah.
I think Brady's got a year of eligibility too, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Collegiate. He's coming back, baby.
All right, so back to West Virginia. The whole Wren thing is really fascinating because I personally think that I don't think Rich was his first choice. I think that Kotelnicki was his first choice.
I would have loved that.
And I was okay with that 100%. But like, there's a lot of people who are saying now, like, this Wren Baker's job's on the line now. He put his job on the line with Rich Rodriguez. And I kind of disagree. Like, our women's basketball team is like a national contender. Yeah. Our men's basketball team, that situation that he dealt with Huggins was really challenging. And the fact that we're now like, he got his guy, and I'm like, I'm fascinated to watch every single basketball game. I'm super into it. They turned that around. The baseball situation was handled with class. Our men and women's soccer teams are in the national discussions. Like, I think Wren can miss on this and still be okay.
I think that it's a win anyway, just because of the media buzz it's getting. We're going to sell, like, our ticket sales are going to be. Like,
that's what I'm really curious to see, right? Because I think that it's going to be a boon. Like, I think ticket sales are going to be. I think that Pitt game is going to be fucking insane.
Let's go to the spring game.
You've got the big money donors that are like, because Kendrick, this is his guy. This is who he wants to spend money on. Like, if he's going to dump a ton of money into this is who he wants to do it for. And I don't see us not being successful in this scenario.
Well, so that kind of plays into again, that, like, what a lot of people are saying is like, when Rich has got to win year one, and that's really scary to me because when you look at his previous stops, he hasn't really fared well for year one. Now it's different now with the portal,
right,
and all that. Like, it's definitely different now. But like, I don't think that Rich has. If we go to a bowl next year, I'm fine with that. And then the next year, I want to see at least 9 wins. That's kind of where I'm at. But I don't think we have to have 9 wins next year.
I'd agree with that. I would like to see a bowl game next year, and possibly, like, I would almost like to see us knocking on the conference championship door next year. And I don't feel like that's far fetched.
And there's other factors too. There's like, I want to see us with some swagger. I want to see us with an edge. I want to see us running an entertaining offense that isn't just motion before the snap. Like I want to see us like that. I want to see,
I think that if we've got excitement on the field to where it's like, we could have won this game, but they just outplayed us for one more series or something like that. But the whole game was, a shootout or whatever you want to, I think that's still going to be positive, even if we lose games. As long as if we lose games in a shootout like our first year, so be it. That's going to create like positive. Like,
who's his defensive coordinator? Do you think he brings him along?
I don't know. But I have seen that Jamal Adai is liking all of his tweets.
That would be a good get.
He's the defensive backs coach for the Bills. So
yeah, I mean,
where he's at now. He's at the Bills.
Yeah, defensive backs coach of the Bills. I don't think he's ever. I don't know. Has he ever been a defensive coordinator? I don't know, but that's a big question. Is who's? But and I'm sure that was part of the interview process.
3-3-5. That's really what I'm asking you.
I don't know. He's
Jeff
probably on to the
Castile's
next
on the
thing.
fucking staff somewhere, isn't he?
Yeah,
Shout out to Gibby getting the job at
Yeah.
Marshall,
Yeah,
by
that's
the way.
fantastic, man.
Yeah,
It's nice for
that's-
both programs. Yeah, I mean, to have
Yeah.
native-born sons at the helm of
we
it's
gotta,
pretty
we gotta
awesome.
start scheduling them again.
Fuck that.
I'm scared. What if
Rich
Gibby's
against-
good?
Rich against Gibby.
I don't ever
Oh,
want
yeah.
to play them again, ever.
Yeah.
I know. That's a scary game. It's a
Yeah.
scary game.
Yeah,
So
I
we
don't
get,
know who
It's
the
not
defensive.
like nothing against Marshall's program, but it's a lose for us.
That's
It
a
is.
big question for me, right? Because I think offensively, assuming he holds the team relatively together, I don't know how those guys. I mean, they've arguably been running like a poor man's spread. It's shit, as we know, and looks awful. But I mean, the zone blocking concept, right, shouldn't be that foreign to the linemen. You've got two ridiculous. Assuming CJ and Jaheim both
Yes.
stick around, that's
Yes.
fucking ridiculous in that
Yes.
scheme.
He's
You
about
get,
to
like,
make
a three-man
them
backfield like
superstars.
Owen,
Yeah.
Steve, Pat, but you got to get QB1 because I
Yeah.
love Nico, but
He's
I don't
not.
think that's his
he won't
offense.
fit his system.
yeah.
Garrett Greenwood, but
Yeah.
Nico's.
Yeah, a year too late. Garrett Green
Yeah.
probably would have been a fucking Heisman candidate.
But what like I saw a thing today with the top transfer portal quarterbacks and that the guy from Liberty that you sent.
yeah,
Like they were saying like it would be a long shot, but like and he's got 1 year left of eligibility, but with NIL money, I mean, is it really that out of reach?
well, and also like the
don't know what
equations,
kind of
right?
offers
Because
he's
you used to
been
be like, oh well, I don't want to take my like a graduate transfer guy. You'd be like, well, do I really want to go get a guy for a year, or do I want to develop my guy? But now it's kind of
not like that anymore.
yeah, it's like pro, right? Where they're like trade deadline, you go all in, you go get the best team and
Yeah.
make a run at the World Series or the Super Bowl or whatever. It almost feels like that's where you're at now. Where you're like,
Yeah.
fuck it, it's 1 year, we get
I
that
just-
guy. Like, who knows?
I hate to feel like we have to do that right now. I'm okay with being patient with like Rich bringing who he wants in, but like I almost want it to happen. Go all in year one just to get everyone on board that's not on board.
Yeah. No, I fully agree. I hope that we just come out just out of the gates crazy next year. But I mean, if you looked at his past stops, that wouldn't be what history would tell you. But and I was thinking about this today. Is there anybody in the country that's done what Rich Rodriguez is doing right now more than what Rich Rodriguez has? Like, he's done this a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that he's like learned along the way, like, hey, when I went to Michigan, I made these mistakes and I wouldn't do that again. When I went to Arizona, I made these mistakes, at Jacksonville. And that really, like, I guess that's like where my head's gone a lot during this process is like, is Rich going to be good anymore? Or is he washed up? Now, Jack State just won the conference championship. That's awesome. It's Jack State, though. It proves that he's still, but whenever I watched that game, it looked to me like he definitely still had the fire in him. Like he's still Rich Rodriguez. And here's the other thing I would say, because there's been other, programs that have gotten their coaches back. Like Greg Schiano is doing it right now. Bobby Petrino in Louisville, that did not work out very well.
Scott Frost, baby.
Scott Frost, Mac Brown was, kicking back to UNC, and it never really worked out that well that I've seen. But the difference with Rich is that I really feel like he's been humble. If that does that he went from West Virginia, top of the world, to Michigan, top of the world, to Arizona, to getting let go by Arizona. He spent some time as like an offensive coordinator and then went to Jack's State as an FCS school at that time, knowing that they were going to be FBS. But like that took some, like, there would have been a lot of people who would have said, I can't do that.
Yeah, he's like humbled. He understood that he's going to have to like work his way back up.
Exactly. And yeah, it's not like we snatched him out of it. Like, imagine if the current Alabama coach sucks for the next 3 years and they fire him and then they want to bring Nick Saban back. Like, I don't know. That's not a great example because I would do it in a heartbeat. It's Nick Saban, but like Nick has been retired on College Game Day. Rich kept coaching the entire time. Like, and he just won a conference championship. So that really makes me optimistic that he is capable. It's not just nostalgia that
Yeah.
he's capable of coming in here and having success again.
Yeah.
Right.
He's not
Yeah,
out of
I
the game, right? Like
Right.
he's been
Nah.
in the game, plugged in, head coaching, recruiting, clinics, right? Like I mean, dealing with NIL, even though on a smaller scale, but like it's not, yeah. And I think Ren said it best, which I kind of had. I mean, I think we all suspected this was going down, obviously earlier in the week before any official comments were made. But I did find it funny because I thought for sure that was probably a done deal when uh, Gordon Gee made his comments because he
Yeah.
talked about the prodigal son, and
Yeah.
he said, you know, can he do it? I don't know. He's like, I've done it twice. You know what I mean? Because it almost like he was setting the stage, right? I think at that point they knew which direction they were going and saying like, kind of, it's up to him. Can he make it work? Right? Like we'll see. I think the fan base it's bullshit anyway, man. Our fan base is
The people that are bitching about this don't go to football games.
They're gonna, and as soon as we beat Pitt, if we start out 3-0, they're in. That's it.
Yeah.
If we
Yeah.
start out 3-0 this coming year, it's all good. We're fine
It's just the uninformed.
winning cures everything.
for sure.
Yeah, look, you know, I was thinking too. It's not apples to apples, but Huggins is almost like as close of a story as you can get, having obviously not coached here. But it's not like he came in with this squeaky clean record. You know?
Right.
Like, well, we brought Huggins in. Like, we'd already, you know, missed out, or we didn't miss technically. I think it worked out for way better with Beeline. But, you know, we made the play at him when he was at Cincinnati before he, you know, threw up out the car window and got fired for that one. Then
Yeah.
he got kind of ostracized, right, and built it back at K-State and then come back. That shit makes me laugh, though, because nobody, right, when he came back was like, oh, no. Like,
Right.
you know, his integrity, his whatever. It was like, oh, he's coming back. Like, the difference is obviously Rich was here and left, but it's like he's got some baggage. He can coach. He's coached everywhere. He wants to come here. It's very much the same story arc. Hopefully, he just doesn't start calling people names and waking up in Pittsburgh thinking he's in Columbus. Otherwise, we'll be okay.
Well, let me ask you guys this: at what point in your heads did it go from, dude, they should totally bring Rich back, to like, no, like seriously, they should really bring Rich back? Like, when did that switch for you? Because for me, like, if you like a month ago, it would have been the former, you know, like joke around about it, but I'm not really serious.
Yeah.
I think their
I'm
conference
probably-
championship game for me, like, because literally at that point, right, he was probably already in the mix. He'd interviewed, and it felt like that was a job interview performance, right? Like,
Yeah.
they got beat, a week earlier by them in a shitty game, low scoring, and then come out and just, 52-14 or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woodshed him, where it was like, okay, he's still got something to prove.
Which makes you wonder, like, how, like, really, like, how long has this behind the scenes stuff been going on? Because there was a lot of stuff, like, how many, like, they say there were 17, like, phones
In the initial pool,
Yeah.
probably.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you got to think of how many, like, you actually read about. And then, like, today
Right.
or yesterday, you find out that Heartline was one of
I'd like
Dude.
to know how many actually got the in-person interviews. You know, what I mean, like, how many guys do we actually go
I think,
visit?
according to this thing that I read, they the university had that plane chartered and it flew to New York for, I'm going to guess they interviewed Monken, and then it flew to Nashville, got held up by weather. It was supposed to go to Florida to interview Anthony Beck. It didn't go there. It went to Alabama and then back to Morgantown, and then that plane went back to Texas where they chartered it out of. So there was, to me, I'm thinking probably two or three, but I don't know. That's what I mean. And
Yeah.
I think, and it was in Alabama for like 4.5 hours, according to that report.
It was weird. The candidates that were mentioned, at least, and who knows how far they got or not, but like Kotelnicki, like, clearly, I got to imagine he leveraged that into a pretty big pay raise, right?
For sure. For sure.
I would say a Penn State assistant probably makes $2 million.
I bet he makes more now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that the hang up was actually that they wanted him to wait. Like I there's something else going on there. Either Ren was already sold on Rich at that point, or Kotelnicki was just using that to set up a job in the Big Ten next year. Because everybody's saying that Wisconsin is basically his job to lose next year if Fickle doesn't get his act together. So, and he's a Big Ten guy, so that would make sense. For me, I agree with you, Ryan, that watching their conference championship game, I was like, dude, like, and the offense looked good. The offense looked like there's some wrinkles in there. There's more run pass options. Like some of those like run pass option throws, I was like, how are you supposed to defend that? Like, I was there for it.
He had some. I mean, if you look at his stop, so when he went into kind of the what's the right word, when he was kind of ostracized from the head coaching, right, from Arizona.
Yeah.
When he was running Ole Miss's offense, they were badass that year, right? I mean, the head coach got nixed. Kiffin didn't keep him when he came in, but I think they were like top 10, offense, and he was doing some crazy shit that I hadn't seen before too, which probably is because he was able to focus on OC, like, and just do his thing and not be a head coach. So I'm very curious to see his staff fill out. That's going to say and tell a lot, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be like one of the more interesting storylines over the next, I don't know, few weeks here. The transfer portal is going to be fascinating to see who wants to come, who he goes after. But you know what I was thinking about, like thinking about how he handled transfers when he was here before. I mean, the name that instantly comes to mind is KJ Harris, which was a home run. So, like, if he could just get a bunch of KJ Harris.
KJ Harris.
But can you think of any other transfers that he got?
Oh, we had KJ Harris's head cut out. I don't know why the trailer. It would, like, the static would stick it on the TV, and we could just put it on top of people's heads. Yeah, he was a beast. That's what I was trying to think of too, because I mean that was just such a different game back then, right? Because that's back when you had to be either sit out,
a graduate
or a graduate transfer,
or coming from a lower division, right? Is that what the other thing was?
No, even that you had to sit out, which made no sense. You could go. I think you could go the other way, which didn't make a lot of sense. But you couldn't come up. But it's really interesting too, because I wonder. I mean, a lot of these kids are probably signed, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything now, right? With the transfer portal. But one thing that could be insane, which would be interesting, is Chris Henry Jr. Right? Like, he's Ohio State, but his guardian's pretty much Pac-Man.
Is he getting any playing time there?
No, he's the next year. I think would be his freshman year. I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So. Just that pool of folks that are connected in and plugged in through Rich and all those years. But I don't know. Do you guys know his strength and conditioning guy? He's got a Jack State now, because I saw his name. But
no, I was listening to Owen Schmidt and Pat McAfee talking about it on a podcast actually earlier today, and they were saying that a big part of the edge that they felt like they had was absolutely Rich, but Mike Barwis was a big part of it. And they were like speculating, is he going to bring Mike Barwis back? But I guess the strength guy at WVU right now, Mike Joseph, is loved by everyone, and so they're kind of expecting him to remain.
That's
but
it just seems odd that he has managed to stay through 3 or 4 different, like, because I think he was there when Dana was there. I'm pretty positive.
Yeah,
he may have been there when freaking Stewart took. I mean, he's been around a long time, which is like, in some sense, you're like, okay, but also like, I don't know. The guy on his staff right now, I was just looking, was an assistant strength coach under Barwis at WVU, who's now his guy at Jack State.
Really?
Oh, really?
Uh-huh. So that's interesting.
Will we get our defense fast?
Just a freaking edge, dude. Like, I mean, that's the thing, is we never had an identity, ever. We never had an edge. Like, couldn't sustain. It's like, what are we? Are we passing offense? Are we running offense? Like, at least you're going to know what we are, like out of the gate.
I read somebody was saying, what will be the number of trickets on our assistant coaches over or under
I cannot believe
1.5?
that Trickett's still coaching. He's like
Yeah,
old as hell.
that's so strange to me too, because Trickett left to go to Florida State while Rich was still here, right? And then they joined forces back at Jack State.
Yeah, it's very odd.
Yeah, I don't get how that worked out either.
Seriously, how fucking old is Rick Trickett?
Because you're like, he was old whenever.
Yes, he was old. He recruited me to play at Glenville
He wasn't
when
that
I was
old.
in fucking high school.
I don't think he was that old. He probably just looked old because he was coaching.
Because you're young and you think everybody over 20 is old.
Well, hey, let me ask you guys this:
Okay.
How would you feel about like Rich staffing every position with position coach with former players?
Not a huge fan.
If they're actually coaching former players, right? Guys that have.
That's what I mean. Like Pat White's, he's coaching.
Quincy.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Jamal. Yeah, that was weird, man. How they didn't even comment about what happened.
Yeah, he didn't even get to coach a single game.
Yeah.
I want Rich to hire the best assistants he can possibly hire, and I find it like, okay, so let's say he hires Pat, and I'm sure Pat would do an awesome job, but like, let's say he hires Pat, and Pat sucks, and our quarterback sucks.
Yeah,
is he gonna have to fire Pat White?
Right.
You know, like,
yeah,
like
you're right. That wouldn't be cool.
If Pat White's the best candidate, go for it. Yeah, right. Yeah,
I can hear the chant now.
It was all just a scheme from Rich. He's like, they said I was nothing without you. Without you, I'm gonna show them. Yeah, I don't know. I like how that sounds, but it makes me a little bit anxious. Like,
well, Chris Henry Jr. is actually in the class of 2026, so we got plenty of time to get him over on the.
Okay.
Who? Chris Henry Jr. Is that what you said?
Yeah, but honestly, I mean, let's be real here.
So Rick Trickett
in the old Rich days,
Glenville State?
Yeah, he was the head coach at Glenville State when I was a senior in high school. He's the one that signed like Hefner and all those guys.
Is he there right now?
No, he's at Jack State.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he works for Rich again.
He's only 68. He looks older than that. I can't.
Okay.
He's only 68. Okay.
I say only, like that's young, but
Bill Belichick's 73 or 4 or 2. Or
I hope that Rich keeps Blaine Stewart. I hope
sure
that he does that.
I would imagine, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure he.
Well, that's the thing. He can easily do some things pretty quickly to get everybody all in before the season even starts, I think, honestly. And most people will be anyway, I think, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I mean, I was less concerned about the way he left WVU and all that because, that whole administration is gone and it was what it was then, the sexual harassment claim baggage from Arizona. That's what I thought was going to be a bigger impediment, from the whole Ren's like, we're going to find a guy with integrity and everything. You're kind of like, I know what you're saying, but.
Well,
yeah, you probably shouldn't have used those words when he was.
Yeah, that's not the first words that come to mind.
Yeah, when Ren said integrity, I thought that he was specifically saying, I'm not going to consider Rich Rodriguez. Right. That's honestly how I took that.
That's how I took it as well.
I wonder, like, how. Like, one of the things that Ren said before, I think it was in like a podcast or something that he was on, is that he feels like his job as athletic director is to make sure that the coaches have every tool possible to succeed. I think that was part of the reason that Neil got 2 more years after he originally came on, because he was like, all right, we're going to give you everything that you're asking for. And then if you don't win, you're gone. And I wonder if like the big money being behind Rich didn't say to Neil, like, all right, if I hire Rich, we are as a program going to be at full revenue share next year, and our NIL budget is going to be doubled. And that, no matter how good of a coach Rich is or bad, That's going to be a positive for this program as a whole. So would I be irresponsible as an athletic director not to go that route? Like, would it be irresponsible for me to take what's the Army dude's name, Muckin or what?
Yeah, Munkin.
Munkin. Would it be
Munkin.
irresponsible for me to take him, even though I like that candidate better, and then say, okay, but we're not going to be at full revenue, and our NIL is still going to be at the bottom of the Big 12?
Yeah.
When I knew I could have done the
same
opposite.
boat we're in right now. I think.
Yeah,
I think that this is our best shot to win
like right now.
right
Like,
Hey,
now.
let's talk about Ren for a second. That motherfucker lost some weight. What's he
Yeah.
what's he on to?
I don't think the West Virginia Cookins agreeing with him. He's definitely not. He's not a fan of pepperoni rolls.
I
Clearly,
was thinking more like the Wagova or one of those weight loss, because I was like,
Ozempic.
damn, he's looking svelte over there, like maybe sickly
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah,
His
Yeah.
face.
Sporting that retro
Bomber jacket.
Yeah, that
Oh, it's
bomber
badass,
jacket.
dude.
yeah.
I don't even think you can buy that thing anywhere. That's just
Yeah,
his.
that's custom made. He's like a rapper.
I saw the whole family made it back for the flight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, all that stuff. And imagine Rich walking into the facilities that we have now too.
I know.
Especially
was
I was
probably
thinking
coming
that.
from-
That's probably
Holy
the first
cow.
time he stepped foot on that
Yeah,
fucking
and
campus
he built it.
since
It's
he
because of
left.
him.
Yes.
It's because of him that we have nice shit.
I'm
It's
pretty sure
crazy.
he whispered that to Ren when they were
He's
in
like-
the weight room. This
Yeah.
is
I built
me.
this place.
I hope he did. And then Rent's like, "What the hell did I get myself into?"
It's like that
No.
movie, The Campaign.
Yeah, I all those pictures and
Welcome
everything
to
of
the
him being
fucking
back on
show.
campus has been awesome.
It is crazy. I mean, I just the only thing, yeah, he's obviously maintained his connection to the state, right? Like his family's there, their families are there. But I'm curious how removed he's been from obviously WVU sports and athletics and football, but just the state sports, right? Like it's interesting. I'm sure he's still part of it because he's recruiting that territory anyway, probably generally. Which not like we get a ton of guys out of West Virginia anyway, but just making those connections in our traditional areas,
Yeah,
Ohio,
he's-
Pennsylvania.
He's definitely, those coaches keep those pipelines. They, no matter where they go, they keep the pipelines.
How much
That's,
money you think old Patty Mac's going to throw into the trust?
I'd say
Well, I mean, so whenever the day after Neil Brown was fired and Pat made his statement talking about he's had a lot of phone calls and stuff like that. If you watch the longer clip there, he says something to the along the lines of, I was talking to Ren and I was saying, like if fundraising is an issue, I can come down, we can do some events in the Coliseum that counts towards fundraising. And I kind of took that as him saying, like, if you hire Rich, I will come and fundraise for you. Like I will absolutely, like money's not going to be a problem.
Yeah, I don't. I
And
even almost think that like the whole show at the Coliseum tomorrow, like realistically, what can these guys put? How many days does it take to put something like that together?
that's what's amazing to me is that he can move that show around that quickly.
That's
Because
what
the
I mean.
Penn State
I feel
thing,
like he knew. I feel like he knew.
I'm sure he did.
Before.
Yeah. Well,
I think he may have done that regardless, right? I mean, it's Rich, it's his guy, he's excited, but I think he's all in again, to some degree on Mountaineer football, where that, if it was anybody, he may have done
I think
it.
he's always going to be,
It's
supportive.
interesting though because he was totally
regardless.
like estranged for a good stretch there, and kudos to Neil because I think Neil really did bring him back into the fold. and make a,
100%.
an effort
Well,
to.
Dana just, I don't think.
He didn't give.
he
shit.
didn't want anything to do with them.
No,
Dana did not want anything to do with them. He
with none of them. With Pat,
No.
with Steve Slate, with Stedman Bailey, with Avon. Like he never like.
Yeah. And on that same podcast with Owen, Pat was talking about he was talking about why he wanted Rich so bad. And one of the things he said, which was a really interesting perspective, was that he talked about the Pitt game and the loss. And he said that he thinks about it every single day.
Yeah.
And that in his conversations with Rich, he mentioned that and said, like, I know you're competitive. You have to think about it as well. And Rich was like, yeah. He's like, I think about it, but it irks me. And I really want to get back and make that right. And Pat said that him working so hard to help get Rich here, if Rich comes here and is successful and maybe even leads us to a national championship, these were his words, is that he, by helping out and throwing some money in or using his pool to help get Rich, he will feel somewhat vindicated because he feels responsible for that pit loss.
I'm sure he
because
does.
he missed 2 field goals, and he
Yeah.
says that if Rich comes back here and we're successful, that it will help him basically sleep at
Like
night
closure,
and get over
yeah,
that.
right?
Yeah, I get it, but and I hate that people were so making the threats that they were making at Pat McAfee for missing those
Yeah,
field
it's
goals.
unbelievable, dude.
It is, I'd just like to be like, dude, that's not your fault. We were a team that was averaging 40, 43, 44 points a game that season, and we mustered out 9. 2 field
Everything
goals,
that could go wrong did go wrong, right?
everything.
And Pitt played a perfect fucking defensive game, like
Yeah.
unbelievable. Like if you go, which I will not do ever, right? Watch it again, but
Yeah.
like they didn't miss a fucking tackle. Like they
Right.
literally made like every tackle. Like
Yeah.
it was just
Pat-
unbelievable.
Pat hurt his thumb.
He was
early
out
Yeah,
like
Pat's
2
out of the
quarters,
game.
right?
It was just like it was
Yeah, he just came back in late to like try to salvage something.
everything that could go wrong did go wrong. And I hate that Pat McAfee had to like take all
Be
of
the
that.
bear.
Yeah, and that's what I'm
That's
saying.
what I
like,
mean. Our fans,
we
are
don't deserve
assholes,
him.
though. No,
I know.
We really
don't.
don't.
our fans
he
are being
could've-
assholes to like Neil Brown's family.
Oh,
shit.
come on. Give me a break.
You know
Like,
what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, come on, man. Like, yeah, do we want a new coach? We want to win. Yeah, but like, come on, guys. Like,
Yeah,
And-
just stupid shit like that.
From a coaching standpoint, it was like we needed a change, but it's like he was a good person. He was a real good person.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, you know what is insane, which I don't think would ever happen. But then again, Rich is fucking back, so who knows? But I was like, he hasn't got picked up and hired yet. This is not a staff hire because that would be batshit insane. But I was like, it part of it. I could almost see him being at a fucking press conference tomorrow. I know it's
That would
insane,
be
and it sounds fucking insane.
the
The
biggest
dude
cuck
stayed around.
move of all time.
Oh my god, it would. It totally would. But
What if Rich just brings him in by a collar and is like,
we're gonna
This is
peg
my
him on
bitch.
stage right here.
No, I see what you're saying. Like if Neil was like, I don't know, like something, maybe they would work it like an angle, like, hey, I'm super proud of what we've built here, and I love all the players that that you're going to take over.
Like a pass the torch, right?
Yeah.
Like more than
Yeah.
anything. I just can't believe. I'm still shocked that we signed every one of the like. When has that ever fucking happened? Ever?
Yeah.
That's insane.
It
Also,
doesn't-
yeah, when I
it
asked you guys, I was
and
like,
then it's-
who's making the calls on who were pursuing the
Well,
transfer portal during
we
that
were
stretch?
we were talking about this. There has to be like somebody that stays within the university. Probably, I bet Ren does a lot.
Ren was absolutely making calls to all the
There's gotta be
recruits.
Somebody that doesn't move with every coaching change. That's within like the university, like football operations,
It's that GM. That's what they
and
need
then-
now.
and that I'm guaranteed that Ren had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
I guarantee he's been on the phone with these recruits too. But yeah, there's somebody within the university that stays on all the time that probably handles the stuff.
Well, I think we'll probably. I can't imagine, particularly if we're going to get bumped to that top tier, that we will have a GM position in the next 12 months, right? Probably like you guys probably saw Andrew Luck, right? Like took the GM. He's going to be the GM.
Mm-hmm.
You
For
telling me I
Stanford.
need to get my resume dusted off?
I think Jeremy
real,
Posey's
dude.
already got it.
Who?
Jeremy Posey.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, he's got the connections.
It's true. I'm trying to think of like athletes of ours that were both like prominent, WVU like football athletes, but were crazy smart too.
Mike Gansey.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's already rocking the GM on his
I
side,
mean,
right?
Not for football, obviously, but I
Yeah.
don't know. Like it's just is Andrew Luck just strictly football, or is he
I don't
like
know. It's a good question.
I bet it's just football.
Yeah, it's
Football GM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
exciting, man. I'm like looking forward to this. Like for 6 years, like
Jeremy
have
Hines.
not had we have not had season tickets, and it's it's been because it's been boring.
yeah, we haven't won. We haven't won a big game in 6 years.
No,
We haven't been
We've
fucking
not.
ranked since 2016.
18,
Was it 18?
18. It's been 6 years.
That's
I think,
what-
since we've been in the top 25.
Like
But
that's
still,
another thing that
either
jumped
way,
out to me.
Long time.
That's
Yeah.
another thing that jumped out to me watching these rich nostalgia videos. Is there's more big highlights and get big game wins and stuff like that in a 5-year span than in the last 6. Like easy. Like
Yeah,
that 3-year stretch was Rich probably
Yeah.
won more games in 3
Well,
years.
Yes, that was a stat that over that 3-year period, Boise State, USC, and West Virginia had the best record in a 3-year stretch.
Yeah.
During
Yeah, that
that,
makes sense.
there's that time.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that the buzz itself is like already like it's doing so much more than what we can see.
Yeah.
With recruits.
I
hope he
think
keeps his damn shit together and clean.
that's what I was just getting ready to say. Like that's like it's one thing for him to not win, and that's fine. We can be like, all right, well, like if Rich would have never gotten hired, honestly, I would have gone to my grave and been like, what if we
Right.
would have given him another chance?
Yeah, we've always talked about the what if, and now we have
Yes.
it. So
But if he messes around and does something, there's some type of another scandal or something like that. Legit, I'll never forgive him. I
think he
never
needs to
forgive him.
be like castrated. Like that's what they should have done. Part of his contract. Like, listen, man, you're gonna have to. Sorry, but this is an insurance policy on our part. We don't have enough staffers to have someone to keep you and your girlfriends apart, or your wife and your girlfriends apart on the sideline. I don't
gotta
know.
run a
It's crazy
Kemper,
because I've watched maybe a handful of games of his since Arizona, maybe like probably 2 or 3. Jack State and Arizona, probably not that many. I watched quite a bit of the Michigan games, like when Denard and everything. But
well, I mean, we thought it was we weren't expecting this, so why continue to follow it if it's not going to
I watched something the other day just scrolling around on the internet, but it was a film cut up of highlights of his one season as OC at Ole Miss, and it was like, damn, like because
I still
it's the
cannot
RPO
find-
piece that he didn't have really when we were like like it's much more spread. It was, but it wasn't. You know what I mean? Like that's been a new wrinkle that he's kind of folded in, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be
We have
fun.
to. You have to.
Yeah.
You've got to. You got
Gotta evolve, right?
Uh,
But defense to me is like that's been the Achilles heel for us for so many years. Like
and
through
our defense was exciting still to watch. Back then whenever it was coached.
yeah, but it still sucked. I remember when Castile finally left, it was like the greatest day of my life. I thought at the time. But I don't know. Maybe we can change that with NIL and bringing guys in. Maybe you can get guys that you couldn't get back in the day. But I feel like that's
we had a few missing pieces definitely, but our D-backs were tough.
Well, remember it'd always be like
were tough.
when we had junior, senior
defensive linemen.
heavy, they were awesome.
Yeah.
Like the defense as a whole, and then the cycle would flip, and you'd have a bunch of freshmen, and it was like just awful.
Yeah.
It was. Why can't we field a good defense ever? Is that like too much to ask? Well, it used to be a badass defense back in like the late '80s, '90s.
Days.
Yeah, Neyland era. But then again, we were playing in a different,
Yeah.
Well, that's one
Nobody
thing too.
ran
Is like
the spread offense back then.
Yeah, we didn't throw the ball every play back then either.
I was looking at one of the years that Rich was our coach, and I was looking at the schedule, and that's another factor that goes into this is like we weren't not playing tough schedules, man. Like
yeah, everything imploded shortly after his. I mean, when we Those first few years,
like
legit,
UCF
right? We were
was
playing
our
Miami, Vautech, like before the Big East imploded, but it was short. Definitely, like the dominant years were when we were the big kid in the
yeah
sandbox beating no one's ass. Except Louisville. When Louisville came in, they were
But you got to think too. There was a period whenever we were in the top 10, top 5. Louisville was in the top 10, top 5, and Rutgers was also in the top 10, top 5. So you had 3 teams from the Big East that were in the conversation for
This
BCS.
reminds me. This league reminds me of that league, though. You know what I
It
mean? Like
does.
whenever the big dogs left, like Texas OU out, right? You've brought some pieces in, but there's not really any
But
like
is this
perennial
not
power.
feel like that? It's like stacking up to be like everything's falling in place because of that. Because you don't
I
have to
think
worry
so.
about Texas and Oklahoma now. Like
Yeah.
the Big 12 is like we've got an automatic bid in the as a bye team if we win our conference championship.
I'm so pissed though at the playoff because I knew it was going to be this bullshit, right? Where it's like it's always been this bullshit. The conference comparison game, like the
Yeah.
fact that it's kind of mind-boggling actually that there's 4 Big Ten teams. There's more Big Ten teams than SEC teams in.
yeah
So the playoff is a little
because they couldn't
mind-boggling.
because Indiana, they're like, well, we can't keep who's the fourth? It's Ohio State,
Oregon,
Penn
Oregon,
State,
yeah, because
Oregon.
they couldn't keep Ohio State out, basically. But at least
they kept
now,
Alabama
Ryan,
out.
at least now, if you win your conference championship, you're in.
Oh, you're in. Yeah.
That at least there's
But
that.
I just hate the skewed numbers still, right? Well, we're
Yeah.
still doing now. It's just reflective of how many people you're getting in versus are you in or out, which is good. At least you have
Well,
access.
if you're one of the top 4 teams, like a Big 12 champion gets in, right? Is a bye team, right?
Not necessarily by they get in, but it's that like in this case, right? Just like the ACC team got bumped. If the non-Power 5 team is ranked higher, they get the bye.
Okay.
So
All right,
ACC got bumped.
Okay, just say
for Boise.
Just say the Big 12 team doesn't get bumped. You're not
Yeah.
going to, you're not going to have to worry about those other SEC teams because you only have to win the games.
Yeah, and I had to go digging in the other day because I haven't read shit, right? Like other than I know that the first round games are hosted by the higher seeded team at home, but then I was like, okay, what about the quarters, like the next, and those are those all start bowl games, which is seems
it's weird,
fucking excessive.
Well, it's like if you congrats, you got to buy, you don't get to host a game now. Like that's a
yeah. Well,
that's a
also,
yeah, that doesn't make sense.
If you're a team that makes it to the national championship, even with a bye, you will have played what 1, 2, 3 kind of neutral field fucking bowl games. Who the hell's going to travel to those fucking games?
Yeah.
I mean, I could see like us going. Yeah, I'd want to go, but then you win, you advance. Like shit, you gonna turn around and I'm just not gonna work for a month. I was gonna follow the caravan from bowl to bowl.
I just spent $10,000 this weekend. I guess I'll do it again next weekend.
Yeah, it kind of feels like they could have done first round, second round, home. You know, like the high seed host, and then semifinals. You know, bowls into the national.
Did you see where the some season ticket holder for Ohio State leaked the resale code, and somebody from Tennessee bought all the tickets.
That makes me laugh because I hate Ohio State.
So it's looking like the game at Ohio State is going to be predominantly orange.
No way. I won't believe that for a second.
Well, I don't know. That's just the story that I saw. So
I mean, I would take a lot of satisfaction in that. I would be very excited.
Too. Especially, I live I can see the Ohio River where I live almost. Like it's right there. It's
you know what? Let's listen. We've done this. This has been great. We're not part of this, but you guys want to do a quick? What are your thoughts on the playoff bracket?
I don't know.
Who do you like? Let me put it that way.
Let me look it up.
Yeah. So first round, this is the home team hosts. Clemson, Texas, at Texas. I
All right.
like Texas to beat the shit out of
Texas.
Clemson.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll take Texas.
I'd say Texas. Tennessee at Ohio State.
Ohio State.
Ohio State, yeah. SMU at Penn State.
Ooh.
I'd like to see SMU win, but I feel like Penn State's going to find a way to get it done, maybe. And then this
I'm
one,
going to pick SMU in that one.
Indiana versus Indiana. We
Dude,
got Indiana versus Notre Dame.
Indiana
I would
got
love
the best
for Sig
matchup possible.
to just beat Notre Dame's ass.
Yeah. I'll pick Indiana there.
Yeah. Okay, then buys. We got Texas. Assuming Texas wins, they're going to go play Arizona State in the quarterfinals. Yeah, I like Texas in that. Ohio State, if they win, goes on and plays Oregon. Didn't they play already once this year?
Yeah, they've already played this year.
beat 'em. Obviously.
Oregon's going to beat them again. I'm going to pick Arizona State over Texas, though.
Arizona State's sneaky good, man.
Yeah.
That coach is fucking crazy. I like that guy.
Yeah.
I think that by the next round, I think Texas is going to start banning him. I think
They
they're
put
gonna-
him in
I
for
think
that,
they need
yeah.
to. I think they need to. He brings
He
something
got a
else
different
to 'em.
dimension that
Yeah.
Ewers just doesn't have.
Yeah.
I think Sarkisian, by the way, is like one loss away from being back to alcoholism and like losing his job.
All right.
Like,
but
I'm
hey,
telling you, I don't think shit's gonna end well for him in Texas.
listen, like we sit here and we talk about like what the expectations are for our head coach. There are people calling for Ryan Day's job.
And I love it. I'm here for it the whole time.
I saw a stat the other day. He was 47-1 against Big Ten teams that weren't
aren't.
Michigan,
Yeah,
and 1-4 against Michigan. And
that's like Penn State, dude. I mean, if you look
it's
at
nuts.
really those three teams, Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan, it's like they just have beat each
Yeah.
other. Like
Yeah,
they generally
right.
dominate everybody else until
It
now.
used to be.
Because now I
It
think
used to be Michigan State was in that mix too, but they,
Yeah.
they fell off.
I
and
think they're going to have a
Wisconsin,
rougher
too.
time with Oregon being part of the
Yeah.
league
Yes.
now. Yeah.
I think
Right, so
What do you-
Boise.
I mean, so what do you think about like the fact that it's the conference newcomers did so well
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
all of the so
Other than
Oregon won the Big
SMU,
Ten,
right?
SMU?
Oregon, SMU, and Arizona State.
Yeah, other than SMU, they were the only ones that didn't win their conference. That wasn't a newcomer.
That's true.
Right?
And
Yeah, 'cause
Texas was in the
Clemson
champ,
won it.
almost beat Georgia and won the SEC.
Yeah.
So that's crazy.
Yeah,
Which that's the thing that pisses me off, right? Because it's like in a vacuum, they're like, oh, the SEC and the Big Ten.
yeah.
And they're
Like,
they're
there
putting
was-
weight to like the historical, not to like, well, the dude from the Big 12 almost won your championship and is going to the playoff.
There was a lot of talk about how like SEC was just like going to walk all over Oklahoma and Texas. And, I mean, Oklahoma had a down year, but they're going to come back. They're. I think that's just who they are.
I'd like to
I
see
don't think
Boise
that-
make a
I don't
run.
think that what's his name's the coach for them, but
Have you guys watched any of Boise State this year?
Yeah,
A little
I
bit.
did. I watched a little bit. of it.
Gentry?
I wanted to watch that dude run, and he's impressive, man.
I can't watch the blue turf, man.
I
It's
can't
just
either.
it
Why
makes
they
me wanna
do
throw
that?
up.
They need to quit that.
It feels like it's an unfair advantage, honestly.
I know.
it does feel weird.
It's odd. Who the hell is even coaching Boise right now?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Is this still Chris Peterson?
That's the thing too with them. Even after coaching changes, they stay right there.
They just keep rolling, man.
yeah,
They keep rolling.
They-
It's
they-
unbelievable.
doing it. Like
TCU totally has shit the bed, by the way.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, so has it not quite as bad as Florida State, but
Oh my god. How about freaking Gus Malzahn resigning as head coach to go be OC at Florida State?
Right.
yeah. Well, what's his name did that the year before, right? The Ohio State offensive coordinator. Gosh.
Chip
What's his-
Kelly. Yeah.
No, he was the Oregon coach and then
No,
went.
yeah, Chip Kelly.
Kelly.
Oh yeah,
He was
Chip
at
Kelly. Sorry, yeah.
UCLA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but in his case, I think he was definitely going to be fired.
He was definitely getting fired.
He beat him to it. I think Gus was
Yeah.
like not doing great, but I don't think he was going to get fired this year. But then I saw him talking like they asked him, and he's like, "Dude, I just He's like, I like to coach football. I don't like doing all this shit.
That's bullshit.
new game.
Whenever he was the head coach of the Eagles, that was like part of his thing. He wanted all the control of like everything. He wanted like draft picks. Like he wanted to be.
You're talking
don't
about
know.
Chip Kelly now. I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
Oh yeah, I thought. When did you change the?
No, I'm talking about Malzahn. When Malzahn went to him talking about going from UCF to Florida
Oh,
State to be
okay.
the OC.
Yeah,
He was saying that, but yeah, no, Chip Kelly's in it.
People
Interesting.
in Florida State are like, why did we make his buyout so big?
I don't know how you can actually do that though. Like, how do you go that dramatic of a dive? Is just unbelievable.
Is that the age we're living in?
13-0 to 2-10. The
Yeah.
only teams they beat was Cal and that cupcake team, like Albany or something, or whoever.
That's the thing.
No,
Is
it
like
was Charleston.
that's what gives me some heart palpitations
Yes.
about this new era, right? It's like Florida State is Florida State, right? It should be
Yeah.
in theory. They
Yeah,
went
they
from
should
an
be-
undefeated getting left out to like they won 2 games this year. You know,
Yeah, I know,
I
and it
don't
was
think
almost
they're
like
hurting for
Clemson.
resources.
And like Dabo was like, he's like against the portal.
Oh,
and
he's
all this
against
stuff,
the portal. Yeah,
and they still like
I
made
don't know.
it.
I
Yeah.
feel like I don't know. I feel like the ACC's.
It's
I was
super
actually
weak.
very surprised they got 2 teams in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. If SMU had won, they wouldn't have.
right.
But on the Rich topic and heart palpitations, the part that scares me is like what happened to him at Arizona. And I know that there were good years at Arizona. Arizona was not a failure by any means, but like, would we be happy with if you took the record he had at Arizona and you gave that to us? Would we be happy with that?
I can't remember the name of the quarterback that he had there, but he was supposed to be, prime rich quarterback, like somebody that fit his system perfectly. And I think he got hurt a lot. Like he'd only be good for a few games, and he got hurt.
Yeah, I know you're talking
They
about. I'm trying to
took
remember.
the win out of their sales, but they did beat Oregon one year when he was
Yeah,
coach there.
they were in the Pac-12 championship one
Yeah,
year,
he
and I
won
think
a
yeah,
lost.
they were in the
division.
Pac-12
Yeah.
championship.
They had like a
Yeah.
10-win season, but like
Yeah.
there were definitely some down years there. And I guess what it comes down to is like, to put you on the spot, like, do you think that the magic is still there? Like, what? So what's the ceiling for Rich? Are we going to be in the national conversation? Are we going to make the playoffs every 2 or 3 years?
I think that
Relevant.
it's hard to like to gauge it because all those those years ago it was pre-NIL. So you're still, as a coach, you're still trying to recruit high school kids and develop them into what you need them to be. And now you can just go get somebody that's like already. That's my guy right there.
I didn't realize. So this is his. He coached 3 years at
First year was
Jacksonville State.
FCS, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize.
What was their record the first year that he coached them?
9-2.
Okay.
9-2, 9-4, 9-4. I was looking at Arizona. He went 8-5, 8-5, 10-4. So his third year was his best year. That's where they played in the championship game.
And then like he was like what? It was fifth season. They only
7-6,
won 3 games.
and then 3-9.
Yeah, they only won 3 games.
That's
I think that I can't remember. What happened that season. Find out the name of that quarterback.
Let's see, that would have been 2014.
Like Hawaii or something. Not the college, but the state.
Yeah, you're right. I think it was. Let's see, Connor Brewer. That would have been him, was it?
No, he was like it was like Marcus Mariota name.
Maybe it was Marcus Mariota.
his little brother.
We're gonna be all right. We're gonna be. Hey, at least there's excitement. That's. I
Yeah.
mean, God, that's a. Listen, dude, we got jacked. Everybody got jacked. I think the whole fan base just chose to
Yeah.
have some amnesia. I mean, here's the best part. We were right. We were 100% right. Right. Like a year ago, we were sitting here going, he should still be fired.
Yeah.
This is fool's gold. It's
Yeah.
going to be a shit show next year. We hope we're eating crow, and yet same thing
Right.
happened like it always does.
Yeah.
Well, we probably had multiple discussions on a few of these podcasts about joking about Rich coming back, and that's what we need. And then, like, we just joked about it because we never thought it was going to happen. Here we are, happening.
We're gonna
So-
get to see. We're gonna get to live it.
Yeah.
Does that mean when next season weekly podcast, boys?
Yes, absolutely.
Khalil Tate.
That's what I mean. Like, it's not that like I like sitting around talking with you guys, but like it seemed like every weekend we were just like talking about like how like the same boring bullshit.
We were talking about Neil Brown.
and not yeah, that's what I mean. Not like our discussion.
He's
was
the most
boring. It
vanilla
was just
dude
like,
in the
yes.
world.
So
Right.
now, we've got some excitement in the air.
Chad, that the quarterback's name was Khalil Tate.
Yeah, that's who
Yeah.
it was. Marcus Mariota.
This is like his introduction announcement from today, but it's just listing, his prolific quarterbacks: Pat White, Denard Robinson, Sean King, Woody Dantzler, Rasheed Marshall, Khalil Tate,
Yeah.
And,
Nico Marchiol.
Yeah, that's another thing too. It's like,
Man, that
whenever
sucks because I
Rich-
like Nico. I think
Yeah, well-
Nico should have been playing for the past 2 years, probably.
But like we were talking about, like players to fit his system. You had Adam Bednar beat Pat White out as a starter.
Yeah,
He's a
that's
pocket passer.
I was
Scary.
thinking about
So,
that season, how
Like, what
awful it looked for the first 3 games.
is Rich going to do that again? Like, or is he just going to be like, I need to get somebody in here that can like really zip around, make some
Yeah.
shit happen.
Maybe he learned his lesson.
But
Yeah.
let's get
that-
back to whenever we used to go to the games and we just were celebrating before the game even started because we knew we were going to win. I like that. Let's do that again.
How many points did we put on UConn that one year?
66. That was the game before the 13-9 game.
Yeah, son of a bitch. We were due for a
66-10.
letdown. I mean, we scored
Yeah.
66 points the game before.
Only time I ever cried over a football game, like, years.
You know what? The funny part of that is, though, is if you remember and look back and think about it and are just reasonable for a second, everything that had to go right for us went right for us. There was no way we should have
Right.
even
The
been
scenario
in the
you're talking about,
conversation.
like the
Yes,
the
for that.
the week before, where
Yes,
like
we're
Missouri
like
lost.
Arkansas lost, right? Everybody had to lose
Yeah,
to even get us there because we
Yeah.
were in like the lowly Big East, right? We already had one loss, and that felt like the death knell, right? Like a
Yep.
team with one loss, Big East, you're not going to get in.
right.
So,
But yeah.
I think people forget how before that week we weren't even going to play for the national championship anyway.
Right.
It just all manifested
It just
itself.
happened. Yeah, Missouri was the number 1 team.
7 number 2 teams lost that
Yeah,
year
there was
or
a
something?
ton. There was a ton of upsets that year.
Yeah, that was a mad year.
We would have
lost
beat.
to-
We would have
lost
beat
to
Ohio
fucking-
State's ass.
Do you remember when South Florida was like the fucking thorn in our side?
Yeah.
How's that possible?
I don't
That's
know.
what I'm
Jim Leavitt.
saying. That's
Jim
what I'm
Leavitt.
saying. We did not play tough schedules, man. Like
Uh-uh.
we were playing nobody, and like USF was like, oh man, if we get past USF, we
Well,
can
hey,
really.
This
You
is
know.
you're gonna shit yourself on this, but I pulled it up, like looking at the 2007 schedule. I'm gonna rattle off their ranking beside their name. USF was number 18 at the time we played them. Rutgers was number 25. Cincinnati was 21, and UConn was number 20.
Jesus.
So we
So, I
beat
mean-
we beat 3 ranked teams.
You're
and
right,
lost
but
to
at the
one.
same time, there were like how many ranked teams in that shitty
Well,
Big East?
Whenever the entire SEC isn't ranked, it's amazing how many other teams get into the top 25.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
like
I
it's.
know.
I'm pretty sure that Vanderbilt is the only SEC team not ranked right now. Am I crazy? No. Southern or the
Mississippi State.
Mississippi State. So
Yeah.
2 teams out of 16, right?
Is it that many?
Is that
I think
many?
there's 16 in the SEC, and
I
I'm
mean, is
pretty
that
sure
many of
all
them
of them
are
are
ranked?
all of them are ranked except for those 2.
That's pretty crazy.
It's the bullshit bias. Well, did you see Kiffin's thing the other day? Because he's essentially saying, like, they're lobbying, and this is what's going to happen, which is going to suck. I feel like we're going to get to some prominence
there's a
again and
lot,
give you competing,
Dylan,
and
there's
they're
a
gonna
bunch.
break off, right? We're gonna get that NFL league of like SEC Big Ten.
Yeah, there's only there. I mean, not only, but there's only 10 teams ranked out of the SEC.
There's only
Only.
10.
Yeah, only.
10 of 16.
Oklahoma's not.
Oh, yep.
Kentucky's not. Florida's not. Arkansas's not. Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, Auburn. Yeah, there's.
Okay, I was way off.
16
That's a lot, though.
That seems like
Still,
on LSU, and Texas A&M's not.
no. Texas A&M's ranked, surely.
No,
they dropped
Okay,
out
well,
after the
okay.
Texas
So
game.
I was way off. Thank you for fact checking me on that because
so did I say there were 7 or 10?
You said 10.
Okay,
So
I
there
meant
was-
7.
I know I said 10, but I meant 7.
I know I said 16, but I meant 3.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know where I got 10 from. Can't count.
Oh, what?
Can't get right.
This is awesome.
Yeah, 7. 7 out of 16. That's still a lot.
So, what's the Big 12 have?
4.
3, maybe.
4?
I'm gonna
Four.
say Arizona State,
Yeah,
BYU.
Arizona State, BYU, Iowa State, and Colorado.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's the other thing. So we don't have our schedule, right, for next year. But if you look, like, it's, I mean, again, you never know year to year, right?
Hey,
Like what
is
happens to the
Dion
teams.
coming to Morgantown?
Yes. Colorado comes to Morgantown next year. We also
You know what,
play
though? You know what the difference,
Utah
though?
and BYU,
Ooh.
I think, next year.
Ooh.
Cam Rising's coming back for. I saw a thing where him and Trevor Lawrence were in the same senior high school class.
Cam Rising is
How
just going to
crazy
like
is that?
be in a
is-
wheelchair before he
this is gonna
graduates
be
college.
his 5th year in the NFL, and Cam Rising's still playing college football.
How is that real?
It's his
It's-
eighth
he-
year.
There's
It's
no way
medical
he
red
just
shirt.
needs to stop.
That's
All right, so
crazy.
here's the Big 12 teams next year, which if you look at it, it's not. I think it's a pretty tough, right, schedule. Pitt obviously out of conference, but then Arizona State at Arizona State,
Yeah.
at BYU, at
Yeah.
Houston, at Kansas, at UCF, Utah at home, Colorado at home, Texas Tech at home, and TCU at home.
Yeah.
That's a
That's
lot of
pretty.
traveling. That's a long games. Like
Yeah,
you said,
That's
Arizona,
a tougher Big 12
BYU.
schedule.
What
we
was
need
the
to
other
go to
one?
the motherland, Dylan. Let's pack our bags, baby.
Let's do it.
We play at
Go to
BYU.
a game in Provo.
At BYU, yep, next year. No date yet, but that'd
Let's
be
go to
awesome.
the spring game this year.
I'm
the-
going. I think I'm
let's
going
go-
to go this year.
Let's go to the Blue Gold game
When is it?
April.
sometime in the spring.
Pencil
Sometime
me
in
in.
spring.
I'll have to check my calendar, but I'm sure I can make myself available to fly across the country for a fucking spring game.
I'll tell you one thing. We're up 10 points against Pitt with 4 minutes to go. We're not losing that game, Rich. Coach.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
And
and you're not.
also, another thing I think is going to change is he's not going to take his foot off the gas.
Yeah.
Neil Brown. I feel like he did
Neil
that.
always played not to lose, right? He never played to win, ever.
Right.
His entire tenure.
Did I tell you guys the story of whenever Neil Brown was first hired and my brother was driving Ubers at the time? And did I tell you guys this story?
No.
Okay. He was driving Ubers in Morgantown, and it was Neil's first year. And he picks up a guy and he's wearing a USF shirt. And so Jeremy's like, just asked him, like, what's the deal with the shirt? And he's like, I'm transferring to USF. He's like, and it was one of our football players that was literally going to the airport to transfer to USF. And Jeremy asked him, was like, why are you transferring? And he said, man, Neil Brown's a loser. He'll never win. And like
Nailed
I
it.
can't like I can't put my finger on why Neil Brown wasn't successful, but like I will say he didn't have it. And maybe that's what that guy was referring to. Like,
No, I think so. He probably
Yeah.
knew immediately. Like
he's like,
Yeah.
this guy ain't it.
It was-
Gomer's not
that's-
gonna win games.
Yeah.
That's funny because today he's a loser. I was talking to one of the guys at work, and I was like, the thing is, I was like, people need to understand that, like, we're not going to win a national championship year one, blah, blah, blah. I said, Nick Saban has just counting his time from LSU through Alabama is 22 years. I said, he only won 7 national championships out of 22 years. He said, yeah, no, what a loser.
What a loser.
That is
Well, you
crazy
know what?
that
That's
he won that
interesting,
many.
though, because also, like early on, right when Pat was talking on his show, I'm curious to see what part, if any, big names like Jimbo, Nick, right? Like people not being part of the staff or otherwise, but just be a part of the state, right? Like now that they're retired, like that's a big pool. Even if he's just like at a game or attends a game, right? Or like he could do a shit ton without even being like actively involved
Right.
in the program.
Yeah. I think
There's a lot of resources to leverage.
That right there, yeah, absolutely. We've got Pat McAfee, one of the biggest, I'd say the biggest name in sports media right now.
Oh my God.
It's there. It's
Yeah.
there. All we have to do, or all Rich has to do, is just put it together.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Well,
All right,
you
well,
know,
you guys tuning in tomorrow? What is it? 1
Yeah,
o'clock?
yeah, I'm gonna
12
watch it
o'clock.
tomorrow.
Your time?
12 o'clock on ESPN. 11 o'clock your time. Yes, yeah.
Let's wrap it up here though. Any final thoughts before we go?
Spot the ball, baby.
Yeah,
Spot the ball.
hold the rope, put a little more air in the helmet. Let's do
I
it.
like to think that I think Big Cat's dead, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he did die.
But I'd like to think that he's smiling up in heaven right now on the chance to run it back and spot the balls, pull up that towel and show everyone his business.
Absolutely. Man, glad you
do
brought
it.
that up. I hadn't thought of Big Cat in years.
Do it
Yep.
for Big Cat, Rich.
Do
Come
it
on.
for
Do it for Big Cat, baby.
Hey, let's make some
Let's go.
shirts. Say that. Do it for Big
Uh,
Cat.
The merchandising opportunities are real.
Yeah.
I mean, just
we should have never gotten rid of all of our Section 209 stuff. It's in vogue now. I mean,
Yeah.
vintage Mountaineer gear.
that's right.
All right, boys. Well, this was fun. Let's do it
Yep.
again sometime. Maybe when we see like, I don't know, the recruiting class or something like that. We'll do maybe a basketball if we make the tournament or something. I don't know. We'll do a basketball one. But
Okay.
Sounds good,
All right.
man.
let's end it here.